Vir Dirthara. A flowering imago. The pages of this book, Memory, describes an immensely tall, immensely graceful vine that flowers with the heat of a copper sunset and has blossoms as large as ponds, petals as long as a man, and scents puffing out like citron and sky and carrion death. The day the last of the vines folds, spent and extinct, the creator of this memory weeps and, after recording the flower's sights and sounds, enters Euthanera. Treasure this thought, for it was the last of its kind and so much more than the last of me. Attentive listeners, the pages of this book, Memory, show a solemn group of elves in an amphitheater of living wood, entire trees grown into seats and stairs for the listeners to recline on. Two other elves in a spirit of learning are speaking in turn on ways to bend the properties of the material world when casting spells. At the end, the spirit, with an air of a senior lecturer, floats forward and booms in a surprisingly deep voice. The unchanging world is delicate. Spells of power invite disaster and annihilation. The unchanging world is stubborn. The pull of the earth fiercely resists, making fire run like water or stone rise like mist. The unchanging world rings with its own harmony. Listen with fearless hearts, and great works will unfold. Birds of Fancy. The pages of this book, Memory, describe a pair playing, colliding in the air, bodies formed for kissing, stroking lines of heat as molten as the sun. The dance is fluid, rolling, never-ending. Lovers tangled in a laughing knot that rolls on for years, a promise never to be parted whatever ages come. An annoyed thought intrudes, from one who marked this memory after it was recorded. By the gods, find a private chamber! Duel of 100 Years. The pages of this book, Memory, show a narrow plateau on top of a mountain. Two armored figures, one in gold, one in black, are fighting in the snow. Steel flickers so fast the air hums. Blood dots the ground. They do not stop for breath. The one in black makes no sound as a blade parts his throat. Mythal, in her wisdom, interceded in an argument between Elgranon and Falandin. With clever words, she convinced them to settle their grievance through a battle of their champions. Elgranon and Falandin agreed and set their champions against each other rather than declare war among the gods. May those nights long be remembered, and Mythal's wisdom be praised. Exile of the Forbidden Ones. The pages of this book, Memory, show the blazing forms of the Elven banishing a howling spirit from the reaches of the Fade that touch their lands. A voice rings out, stern and imperial. For abandoning the people in their time of greatest need, for casting aside form to flee where the earth could not reach, we declare Zemenkek and others of her ilk exiled from the lands of the Elven. Beware, their familiarity with shape allows them to travel paths unaided. They may be bound, but only the protection of your gods will fully shield you from their malice. They are forbidden from the earth. That is our right. Homecoming. The pages of this book, Memory, describe an elf approaching a city of glass spires so deeply blue they ache. The city's outskirts are wrapped in lakes of mist, and figures stroll along the pearly glowing strips as if they walked on solid ground. Groves of trees woven into enormous parks shelter elves in quiet hollows, while other elves walk below a river churning along an invisible shoal in the air. The scene hums with quiet talk and contentment as the Memory Makers reaches the city gates already thrown open wide. Raising the Sun Elian. The pages of this book, Memory, describe a heated argument between a group of well-dressed elves inside an elaborately arched pavilion on an island floating in a void. In the distance, haloed by a blizzard of light, thousands of elves are maintaining an elaborate magical ritual that pulls raw essence from the Fade, funneled into a sphere in the air. Through the lens of the sphere can be seen a world of indigo waterfalls and rust-red jungles, and a temple palace so frescoed and cleverly carved it is a masterpiece in itself. The well-dressed elves' shouting grows so loud it can be heard over the magic. One leaps at another, howling and pulling at a knife burning with prismatic flame. Architects of the grand Sun Elian, a gift from Blessed Celeste to clever Genet as thanks for a great favor, in friendly debate over the color of the palace's roof trim. Signs of Victory. The pages of this book, Memory describe a monument made in a single afternoon by 1,000 toiling servants swarming over a lump of fallen stone as large as a collapsed mountain. By the end of the day, the stern figure of Elgarnon stares down into a valley carved out from the foothills of the rock. The slaves have disappeared. Light radiates from the Indolin's narrowed eyes and its open, snarling mouth. Hail Elgarnon, first among the gods! Mark his victory eternal. The deepest fade. The pages of this book, Memory, are instructions on how to reach the deepest parts of the Fade, realms so far removed they're unmarked by dreamers. Epiphany requires a mind smooth as mirror glass, still as stone. Put aside 10 years for practice and the next 100 for searching. What others have learned will ease your journey. Those who have never manifested outside the Fade will find it easier to find its stillest roots, but it is rare the compulsion overtakes our brethren of the air.